If you were looking to get into a new Sony DSLR, you have a lot of decisions to make. And I'll tell you why. Because you have the A7S, you've got the A7R, you've got the A7 IV that just got announced a couple of weeks ago, you got the A7C that was released about a year ago, which is pretty much a more compact version of the A7 III, and then you have the A7 III, which was released about 3 years ago. So that kind of begs the question, is the A7 III even worth buying anymore? It was a lot, that was a mouthful. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Today we were talking about the A7 III. It is a hybrid camera, which means it can do both photos and video pretty well. Now, it was released back in 2018, and it was one of the best-selling cameras for 2018 and 2019. And it has literally been in my camera bag for about 2.5 years, and it has been my workhorse. I have done everything with this camera. So the A7 III is an E-mount. It has a 24.2 megapixel full frame sensor with a max resolution of 6,000 by 4,000. It has an ISO range of 100 to 51,200 and can be extended to ISO 50 on the lower end and 200 and 4,800 on the higher end. It shoots 10 frames per second in continuous burst mode, and it has a maximum shutter speed of 1/8,000th of a second. It has 8-bit color 422, and it shoots 4K footage at both 24 and 30p. And it also shoots 1080 at 120p. It has real-time human and animal eye detection, along with 5-axis and body stabilization, and it weighs 650 grams or 1.43 pounds. It's a pretty tough little camera in my opinion. I try really hard to take care of all of my gear because this stuff is expensive, but there was a few times that I, Oh, something hurt my butthole. Whoops. The body of the A7 III technically is not weather sealed. It is dust and weather resistant. Now, I've had it in the snow, I've had it in the rain. I was caught in a rainstorm a couple of weeks ago and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna royally just screw this thing up. But so far, so good. It's working just fine. I have to really stress that this thing is not waterproof. Don't go dropping this into a large body of water because that would be bad, like really bad. Don't do that. It has multiple customizable buttons so that you can set up your camera to whatever best suits your filming or photography needs. It does have a 2.36 million dot OLED EVF and a tilted LCD screen. So one of the main complaints about this camera is that it doesn't have a flip out screen. Now, when I first bought this camera, I didn't think that I would need a flip out screen, but the more content I started creating, like vlogs and stuff like that, having a flip out screen really helped to see that I'm in focus or I'm focusing on whatever it is that I'm really wanting to focus on. However, if you are never planning on being in front of the camera, the tilt screen is just going to be just fine for anything that you're going to need. On the side of the camera, it has a microphone jack, a headphone jack, along with a micro HDMI port, USB-C port, and a regular USB port. It also has dual memory card slots. The bottom slot is rated for faster UHS-2 memory cards, and the second is for more of your standard cards, and it can be configured to run as a redundant backup, which is fantastic to have because if one of your cards got corrupted and you started losing all of your files, you're gonna end up ugly crying in a corner somewhere because you didn't have a backup, and that would suck. The A7 III runs on the Sony Z batteries, which is fantastic because they last forever. You can make it an entire day with just 1 or possibly 2 batteries. If I'm out doing photography, one of these batteries is just enough. If I'm out filming and I'm doing a lot of 4K footage, usually I run through about 2 of them, and then when I come home, I usually have battery left over. The audio out of this camera is pretty good, especially when you are using an external microphone. Personally, I use a Deity microphone. I have heard that some people have had issues with the microphone jack breaking and they've had to send it off off to get repaired. Personally, I have not had this issue yet, knock on wood, which I'm actually kind of surprised for all the crap I've sent this camera through. Just saying. However, if you do want to kind of get around that and you don't want to have to like deal with the microphone jack, Sony actually makes a microphone that connects to the hot shoe, and then it takes the plug to the microphone jack completely out of play. You won't even have to worry about it. So the main reason that I bought the A7 III was for photography. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, I will leave a little link right down below so you can go over to Instagram and come say hi. Go ahead. I'll wait. So just so you know, 99% of the photos that are on my Instagram account are taken with the A7 III. And then another reason why I decided to get this camera was because of the human and animal eye detection. Now, I take an absorbent amount of photos of my dog. And I'm not gonna lie, he's got more followers than I do on Instagram. I mean, look at him. He's handsome. Like, can't help it. And every single photo that is on his Instagram account is also taken with the A7 III. However, the eye detection only works in photos. Now, when you are filming, you're only gonna have face detection. And I learned this the hard way. If you are going to use your smartphone or you have control camera with smartphone turned on, you're gonna lose the face detection altogether, and your focus is gonna end up like hunting for whatever to focus on. It's aggravating, but it's really easy to fix. So you can go into your menu, go to control with smartphone, turn it off, and that usually fixes the problem. Now, I have heard that some people have to put the camera on airplane mode, but I personally have not had to do that. But if you want to, you can do that as well as like a safety measure, backup, whatever, or just give it a go and see what best works for you. And speaking of focusing, the autofocus on the A7 III is pretty good, especially for it being a 3-year-old camera. And that's due to the 93% autofocus coverage that this camera has. It also has 693 face detection points and 425 contrast detection points, which is great for any kind of run and gun situation that you might find yourself in. Having reliable autofocus is essential if you are a creator that is filming stuff on your own, so that you have the confidence in your equipment that it is keeping things in focus that needs to be in focus. Now, what I have personally done is that I have gone into my focus settings and I have turned my focus area into zones, and then I put it into the middle zone, because when I'm holding my camera out in front of me, 95% of the time my face is in the center of the frame, and then it's always in focus. So that kind of gives me the confidence that I'm actually in focus when I'm filming. So the A7 III does shoot 4K footage at 24p, downgraded from 6K footage, and then the 4K footage at 30p has been downgraded from 5K footage. And then the 1080 at 120 makes for some really good slow motion. It's got your typical picture profiles. It's got Cine, S-Log, HLG, and if you're wanting to do more video work, keep in mind that this only has 8-bit color. So that can actually limit the flexibility when it comes to color grading and adjusting your raw footage. The 5-axis in-body stabilization does a pretty good job. So if you are using a lens that doesn't have any stabilization built into it, the A7 III's IBIS will help you a ton when it comes to smoothing out those micro jitters and some of the crazy motion that you get while you're filming. Then you can drop it back into Premiere and then smooth it out even more from there. Also, this camera has a 30-minute record limit, so keep that in mind if you are filming talking heads or interviews. Just stop the recording and then start it back, and then you can keep going. But personally, what I have had to do is to set myself a timer, and because there is no lights, no clicks, no noise, no nothing, the thing just shuts off, and there's been times I've just been rambling off to the camera and I didn't even know that it shut off, and then I had to go back and refilm everything that I just did, and that is, I that's a pain in the ass. One thing, the last thing that I really want to bring up about this camera is that a lot of people don't take into consideration the files that come out of this camera. Now, if you get the A7 III for just photography, the raw files that come out of it, they're big, but so are all raw files, and your Lightroom or Capture One or whatever it is that you're using is going to be able to handle it with no problem. However, the 4K footage is very, very heavy. And if you drop it into Premiere and you're trying to like play through it, what's going to happen is that it's going to freeze, and then it's going to continue moving on, and all you're going to be able to hear is just yourself talking. It's either going to snap out of it or it's not. And then you're going to have to pause it, let it get all caught up, and then play it again. There are tricks like creating proxies, and that kind of helps. But from personal experience, if I have a whole lot of 4K footage, even with proxies, it still sometimes freezes, and it just sucks the joy out of editing. But with that said, just make sure that you have a computer that can handle the files and you're good. So with all that being said, should you buy the A7 III in 2021 and going into 2022? That really depends on what you need. To be honest, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this is a damn good camera. I have done client work with this camera. I've started this YouTube channel with this camera, and it's going to be a great camera for the next few years, and I don't plan on getting rid of mine anytime soon. What you need to ask yourself is, do you want a mid-level hobbyist styled camera? Are you wanting to do a lot of photography? Well, this is a great camera. If you're wanting to do a little bit of video, you're wanting to touch in the video, this is a good camera. I mean, hell, if you're already good at doing video and you want something that does both video and photography, this is a good camera. Now, if you're wanting something that's just strictly for video, maybe consider going with the A7S III. If you are wanting to vlog, this camera can do that. I started using this camera to vlog, but if you feel like you need to have a flip out screen, maybe consider the A7C. It is a more small, compact version of the A7 III, and it is a damn good camera as well. So I did a review on that. You can check that out after this video. And guys, if you got anything out of this video, give it a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really does help me out. Subscribe, because I would like to see you in the next video, and then hit the bell so you get notified whenever I post new videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. See y'all later.